The desert winds howled across the ruins of Azarian, a lost civilization buried under centuries of dust and silence. For hundreds of years, the world believed the empire had vanished after a mysterious cataclysm. But history rarely tells the whole truth, and sometimes the truth waits to be uncovered. This story begins with Dr. Elias Grant, an American archaeologist famous for uncovering forgotten civilizations. For decades, he followed clues carved into stone tablets, ancient scrolls, and abandoned trade routes. Every lead pointed toward one impossible conclusion: that Azarian never truly died. Something had destroyed their capital. Yes, but the people? The people had survived in the shadows of history. When Elias arrived at the barren cliffs of Aranthos, he discovered an entrance, a sealed stone gate with symbols glowing faintly under the setting sun. The carvings matched the same patterns he had seen across museums around the world: spirals of fire, broken crowns, and a mysterious emblem known as the Mark of the Phoenix. He realized he had found the first real clue to Azarian's final days. Inside the chamber, he uncovered a long-lost manuscript written by General Kalen Voss, the last commander of Azarian's royal guard. The manuscript was not just a record, it was a warning. It spoke of a force known only as the Shadow Tide, an enemy unlike anything the ancient world had ever seen. According to Kalen, the Shadow Tide was a massive invading force powered by stolen knowledge, forbidden science, and merciless commanders. They marched from the north, leaving behind only ashes. The manuscript described how, on the eve of destruction, Azarian's ruler, Queen Seraphine Lysandria, made an impossible decision. Rather than allow her people to fall into slavery, she ordered a secret exodus, guiding a chosen group into hidden underground cities protected by ancient engineering far ahead of their time. She believed that one day the world would be safe again, and her people, the children of the sun, would rise to rebuild their empire. As Elias read, chills ran down his spine. This wasn't myth, it wasn't legend, it was a message written for the future. The final page was the most disturbing. It warned, Azarian did not die by fate, it died by betrayal. From within, just as Elias finished the last line, the chamber began to tremble. The floor cracked beneath him. Something ancient had awakened, and from the darkness he felt the presence of someone, or something, watching him. Heart-pounding, Elias grabbed the manuscript and escaped just as the entrance collapsed behind him. He didn't know it yet, but the truth he had uncovered would ignite a battle between ancient secrecy and modern discovery. Azarian's story wasn't over, it was just beginning. Back in the United States, Dr. Elias Grant studied the manuscript day and night. The symbols, once forgotten, now revealed secrets that connected to lost cultures across the globe. From South American temples to Mediterranean ruins, one name kept appearing in every translated passage: the Pale King, the traitor who brought Azarian to its knees. According to General Kalen's writings, the Pale King was once a respected advisor, a master of ancient technologies, but he grew hungry for power, believing Azarian should not hide its knowledge but dominate the world with it. When Queen Seraphine refused, he secretly joined forces with the Shadow Tide and orchestrated the fall of his own empire. The manuscript hinted that the Pale King survived the cataclysm and continued his experiments in secret sanctuaries scattered across continents, locations that matched unexplained archaeological anomalies discovered in modern times. Elias knew what this meant. If the Pale King's legacy still existed, then the story of Azarian was far from extinct. Determined to reveal the truth, Elias traveled to a remote island in the Pacific, following coordinates hidden inside the manuscript. There, beneath volcanic rock, he discovered a colossal underground chamber, machinery still active, glowing symbols pulsing like a beating heart, and murals depicting the war that destroyed Azarian. But something else was there. A figure stood across the chamber, a cloaked, motionless, almost ghost-like. When the figure stepped forward, Elias felt the weight of centuries. The stranger spoke in a calm, unsettling voice. "You carry the Queen's words, yet you do not understand them." Elias whispered, "Who are you?" The figure lowered his hood. "I am Varos, last guardian of the Betrayer's Vault. And you, Dr. Grant, you were never supposed to find this place." Varos explained that while Queen Seraphine had guided her people into safety, she also commanded her most loyal warriors to seal away every trace of the Pale King's research. If his technology was ever revived, history would face another catastrophe. Elias argued that the world deserved the truth. Varos replied sharply, "Truth can save a kingdom, or burn it to ashes." At that moment, a deep rumble echoed through the chamber. The ancient machines activated on their own, responding to Elias's presence, as though recognizing the manuscript he carried. Pillars rose from the ground, walls split open. A massive stone door slid aside, revealing a spherical device glowing with fiery red energy. Varro stepped back in fear. The heart of the shadow tide, still alive. Elias realized the terrible truth. The Pale King's greatest weapon had never been destroyed. It had merely been sleeping, and now that it was awake, the ancient enemy that erased Azarian could rise again. Varos and Elias stood side by side, enemies turned allies, facing the impossible. The chamber shook violently. Light burst from the heart. Something began to take form inside the sphere. Elias whispered, "This is how Azarian fell." Varos replied, "And this is how our world falls, unless we finish what the Queen started." The chamber shook like a heartbeat, awakening after centuries of silence. Elias Grant shielded his eyes as the fiery sphere. The heart of the shadow tide expanded with blinding light. Varos grabbed Elias's arm and pulled him behind a stone pillar just as the ground split open. From inside the sphere, ghost-like projections began to appear, then sharpened, then solidified. They were soldiers, armored in black, helmets shaped like ancient beasts, eyes glowing with ember-red light. These were the Shadowborn legions, the army that once burned Azarian to the ground. But these versions were different, incomplete, unstable, flickering between matter and energy like broken memories, trying to reform. Varos whispered, voice heavy with dread, "They are echoes, fragments of the army that destroyed my people. The machine is rebuilding them." Elias's hands trembled. "Can they become real?" Varos nodded slowly. "If the heart completes its cycle, yes, and they will finish what they started." A sudden metallic cry echoed through the chamber as one of the Shadowborn locked eyes onto Elias. Its armor pulsed, its form sharpened. It took a step forward. Elias whispered, "Varos, I think it sees us." It charged. Varos shoved Elias aside and unsheathed a blade forged centuries ago, the same kind used by the royal guard of Azarian. Sparks exploded as metal clashed with the energy-born soldier. The creature's strength was unreal, a blend of ancient warfare and forgotten technology. Elias scrambled for cover, desperately searching for anything he could use. That's when he noticed the insignia on the heart, the same mark of the phoenix that Queen Seraphine once used. But this symbol was cracked, corrupted, altered by the Pale King. He ran toward the machine's control pedestal. Symbols glowed on the stone platform. Lines pulsed like veins carrying power. He placed the manuscript on it. Instantly, the runes lit up. A projection appeared. Queen Seraphine herself, a message encoded centuries ago. Her voice echoed through the chamber. "If you have reached this place, then the darkness rises once more. The Pale King's legacy cannot be allowed to live. To stop the heart, you must awaken the Guardians." Varos froze mid-battle. "I hoped this day would never come," he muttered. Elias shouted over the chaos, "What Guardians?" Varos cut through another Shadowborn echo and replied, "The First Legion of Azarian, the warriors who swore to protect the world even in death." Before Elias could ask more, the chamber walls shook violently. A massive Shadowborn general emerged, towering, armored in obsidian, wielding a hammer forged from fallen stars. It raised its weapon, and the ground trembled. Varos gasped. A dread marshal! They were the commanders of the Shadow Tide. The marshal roared, a sound like metal tearing through time. Elias yelled, "We need to shut this thing down now!" Varos sprinted to him. There is only one way, complete the Queen's sequence. Elias pressed his palm onto the glowing sigil. The manuscript's pages flipped on their own, as if guided by an unseen force. A final command appeared. "Speak the name of the first flame." Elias looked helpless. "Varos, what is that?" Varos closed his eyes. "The name of the first king of Azarion, the one who began our line." The Shadowborn marshal lifted its hammer, ready to crush them. Varos whispered the name. "Azarion!" The chamber erupted with golden light. Symbols across the walls ignited. The heart cracked, screaming like a dying star. And beneath the floor, something ancient awakened, rumbling, rising, as though an entire army long buried was returning to life. Elias stared in awe. Varos whispered, "The Guardians have returned."